Stacy and Austin, you're going to help translate in case I butcher something here, okay? Um, in unified view, you guys are building export on top of query. It's been described as more of like a single layer thing that's happening instead of two separate processes. Looking through the responses and surveys and everything, this has people freaked out, right? I think that's the clinical term. And even after David, the demo in the pub, the two big unanswered questions I think are, how's that going to work? Will there be output templates that DBAs can use? And will exports that already exist in the world make it over to the new system?
So to the question of templates, you'll be able to save as. So right now you can save as, you can make changes, and then so you can copy 90% easily by just saving as and making changes. We do have a work item for migrating existing exports. Once we get the full sort of translation of existing format, multi-row format to single row format, that becomes a lot easier. So initial release, the migration piece will probably not be in place, but we do have it planned for later, yes.
Stacy, Austin, any follow-up on that? Does that make sense to you?
I guess the primary question I saw in the survey and what came out of the pub was concerns that people would have to rebuild their existing export files and it wouldn't work in the same way that database view does. So can you talk a little bit about what sort of why you went down the road of sort of grouping export and query together in WebView, the reasons why you went that direction, and then sort of how folks will get the same results, right?
Sure. Yeah, so I kind of mentioned this in the pub. So right now, the workflow in query and export is you go into you go into query, you create your grouping, right? So you're adding all your criteria. If you're not fully aware of what you're doing and what the workflow is, you may also be going into output, going into sort, looking at results and fiddling with that. So there's this whole step there. Then you do the same thing in export where you go, okay, now I'm going to go plug it into export, re-add output fields, choose all your sort of formatting filters and everything there. So it's just you're doing two similar things in different places. And for new users, that can be very confusing because sometimes you use one and not the other. And so we wanted to remove that room for confusion. As far as getting the same results, the layout is changing the layout gives you, if you're starting with the same group and you can apply filters, like our primary goal is to make sure you can get the same results. So we will not stop until you can. One area that I've seen confusion and concern is, hey, how do I include one export with another query and change that easily? And so we're achieving that through the select from query field, which is available now. So you can kind of test this out using two queries where one starts with one group and then you're kind of adding additional filtering or output fields on top of that.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned in the comment, and everybody kind of double clicked on it. Just to be specific, I think it was Vareed who wrote this. What happens to export templates that we use in database view for multiple queries? Will they have to rebuild full export each time they create a query?
No. So once that migration piece is in place, you will have it there. If you create a new one using select from, you'll be able to include it with multiple queries with the same number of clicks, essentially.
Awesome. David, does people concerned there, does that resonate with you? Like you get where people are coming from on this? Like as I look at the comments?
Absolutely. It has been a huge stressor for me because I know we're going in the right direction. Like it takes a bit to wrap your head around it. I fully get that. And so every time I talk to somebody new about it, I feel like, I kind of like circle around the topic a few times until we get it. And then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, so like, I totally get it. But if anyone does have gaps that still don't feel like they're met, definitely reach out and let us know.
And it reminds me of like in my early days at Blackbaud as a trainer, it was like don't use query to export, and it's not a reporting tool, like, and we're changing the whole kind of way in which we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I know that that's difficult, and that's just one piece of the change, and there's going to be a lots of pieces of the change that we'll have to think through, and customers will have to think through.
Is it your experience that people love change and they run to it and they're really excited?
No, I don't think anybody likes change. I mean,
Yeah.
some change is good, but
I have a T-shirt in the other room that proves otherwise.
Love it. Okay, let's talk. So thank you, David. Appreciate that. That was a hot topic. Another hot topic.